Hey everybody, and welcome to our early comic review video. I'm Andy.
I'm Matt.
We're here with Infinity Flux Comics out of Chattanooga, Tennessee, and this is our big show where we show you some of the biggest and best books that are releasing this week to your local comic book store, whether that be here at Infinity Flux or at infinityflux.net or at your local comic book store. Either way, we want to help you be better informed when you head in there and you're looking around the shelves and you're wondering, what are all these books about? That's what we're here for.
That's right.
This is a really good week of books. Not quite as many like big number one.
Yeah, not a lot of super huge number ones, but still some important ones, still some fun ones, that kind of thing.
Yeah, so if you want to go ahead and order these books, they are live right now at infinityflux.net. Whether you buy them and we ship them to you, or you buy them and you do local pickup, either way, you will be all set and you don't have to worry about them selling out.
Yep.
So let's get into it. I'm very excited to talk about this first one because I read it a little while ago and I got a lot of things to say.
Yeah, so we are going to start with New History of the DC Universe #1. This is written by Mark Waid. Who better to write this than Mark Waid? The art is by Todd Knock and Jerry Ordway. And just like the title says, this series gives us the new official history of the DC Universe. Now, there's no actual dialogue or word balloons in this. Rather, the entire issue is narrated by Barry Allen. He states that he's probably seen more of the past, present, and future and the multiverse than anyone else. And so he wants to document all of it. So that's kind of the pretext behind all this. So this is very thorough. So this starts at the literal dawn of time in the DC Universe, and it goes all the way through the explosion of Krypton. So that gives you an idea about what is covered in this. And every single page, too, is one big splash page illustrating the era that Barry is talking about on that particular page. And we get things like the source, which is kind of the creation of everything. We get things like the creation of the Green Lantern Corps, the New Gods, the formation of teams like the JSA and the Seven Soldiers of Victory, and a whole bunch more. Basically, anything that took place between the beginning of time and the explosion of Krypton is in here. There's references to Vandal Savage because he used to be like a Neanderthal, that kind of thing. And so it's a visually rich history of the DC Universe. But what is also very cool is, in addition to all that, the last several pages is a comprehensive chronological timeline of the DC Universe. So it's a bit more like you're looking through like a bibliography or something of a book. And each entry gives specific issue numbers of when that thing happened. So it's in chronological order too. So like it references, we were talking earlier, like it references when Bruce Wayne got lost in time at the end of Final Crisis.
Yeah.
So even though that event isn't referenced in the main part of the book, because the back part is chronological, well, technically Bruce Wayne was in whatever BC that was, when he was doing that. So that's noted in there, and it's very ordered like that. And like I said, it gives you issue numbers to where, hey, that sounds cool. You can actually go read that. So to me, that is really cool.
Yeah, there was a part about, it was during like kind of the formation of the DC Universe, and after like you've got the Monitor and the Anti-Monitor or whatever, there was one thing of like these like the two first like creatures or like peoples that came up, and I was like, what is that from? I don't remember seeing that. And then in the back I was like, oh, that's from like some book in the 70s.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I kind of want to go check that out now.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is going to be a 4-issue series. I am very, very excited about this because I think then when this entire series is out, hopefully it gets a really nice collected edition as well, because this is going to make an excellent reference guide, kind of encyclopedia type book for DC fans. You're going to be able to go to this series, whether you get the single issues, collected edition, whatever. You're going to be able to open up this series and basically know like all the big things that happen in the DC universe. You'll know when they happen and that kind of thing. And plus, the artwork is gorgeous. Like, it looks really, really good too. So I'm very excited for this. I've seen a little bit of negative chatter for some folks thinking like, oh, we don't need this. We have the one from 1986 that was created by Marv Wolfman and George Perez. That's true, but there's a whole lot of stuff that's happened in
Yeah.
this universe since 1986. So this is going to be more comprehensive than that. Admittedly, DC has rebooted a couple times. And so it's nice just to have an updated official history if you're trying to figure out, well, when was Wonder Woman involved in this, or when did Superman get here, or when did this and that, like in relation to everything else. This will be the official history of the DC universe for the foreseeable future until they decide to do another one, I guess.
Yeah.
So, very, very cool. A definite must-have for DC fans, in my opinion. Just as the rest of the series will be. I think it's the next issue where the real DC stuff is gonna happen. Like I said, they talk a lot about the JSA, Seven Soldiers of Victory, all of the Western heroes like Batlash and those guys. But if you're talking about the real meat and potatoes of DC, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, that's going to be next issue.
Yeah.
But still, a lot of good stuff in here. The Green Lantern Corps, the Manhunters. I'm trying to think of all the New Gods, all the other cosmic stuff. It's all in here.
Yeah, and it's interesting in this to be like, you think about, okay, yeah, Krypton exploded, but you don't think about, oh, what year in Earth terms did that take place? Oh, that was after like the Western stuff.
Yeah.
It's really cool to get that. And I'll say this is, even though it feels like, oh man, that must be text heavy and stuff. It's not like stodgy and stiff. And everything. It's really exciting, and to see like how one thing leads to another, and like how there's pieces of like, well, I know that from this story over here, or from like, oh, that was from a more recent Green Lantern story, but reference something that was really old. And it's cool to have all these, collage of things coming together to create this story. Plus, it is narrated by Barry Allen, so it has a little bit more of a voice to it, a little bit more of a personality than just like lines of text and dates and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's not, because the original history of the Marvel or history of the DC universe, it was very good, but it was a little bit more textbook.
Yeah.
Where this reads a little bit less like a textbook and more like the memoirs of somebody who lives in this universe and knows all about it.
And it is cool too, because a character will appear in one place, like the Spectre.
Yeah.
It will talk about like the creation of the Spectre, which is like at the beginning of time. But then later, when they get to Justice Society, it's like, and then the Spectre came, and it's like, oh, these characters disappear and reappear. Or Frankenstein. Frankenstein gets created, but then you see where like his story leads up to when he was part of like Creature Commandos. He was in, he was with
Agents of Shade.
Agent of Shade and all. It's cool. It's like, oh yeah, you see the full timeline of these characters. So yeah, I highly recommend this, especially for DC fans, especially if you are you love like the lore of DC. That's what this is all about.
100%. Yeah, DC fans, all of you need to get this because it's fantastic. So this is our Awesome 8 cover by Chris Samney. Is that a wraparound? Yeah, so it's a wraparound too, so that's really nice. And there are some other beautiful covers for this. This Dan Mora Wonder Woman variant. I love that look for her. We have this Ryan Sook variant, and this is the one that has like a lot of the JSA and Sergeant Rock and Easy Company and all that stuff on it. This is who did this one?
Is that Koblish?
Yeah, Scott Koblish. And this one is also a wraparound, and look at all the characters on this. I mean, this thing is crazy. I don't even want to know how long it took him to draw that. We also have this really nice foil art germ. Yeah, this art germ Wonder Woman variant in a nice foil there. And then this is, I don't know I don't have the artist on this one, but this is also a foil wraparound. Now, all of our copies of these got damaged. That's why we put this Band-Aid on there. Up at the top, there's a little bit of a crease. I think you can see it right there. So it's just this one cover. All of our copies, unfortunately, were damaged, but you can still order it if you want to. And
then that might also be a Ryan Sook.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And then this is the blank sketch variant. You can draw all of the heroes yourself. And then we have this. I don't have the ratio on this one.
It should be on the.
Oh yeah. 1:25 Michael Cho variant that we are selling for $19.99.
Yeah, and the art does kind of bounce back and forth between Ordway and Todd Knock, but it doesn't. It's just kind of seamless. It's really cool.
It's not jarring. Yeah. No.
Okay, well, first off for me, I have Absolute Martian Manhunter issue number 4. And this is a very strange issue. Kind of what you've come to expect with Absolute Martian Manhunter, but this one in particular is super trippy and kind of up to interpretation on a lot of it. So in this, we have the city that John Jones is in. I don't remember what it's called, but it's been hit with this massive heat wave. And there is something that happens at the very, very beginning, the first 2 panels, that might be more important than we think.
And they're also weird, but cool at the
Very
same
weird, yeah.
time.
But so because of this heat, not only does it like raise people's tempers and everything, like it goes above and beyond. Like someone knocks somebody's coffee out of their hand and they end up just like killing each other basically. Like it gets crazy. So I guess John Jones is brought in to investigate like how did this escalate so much. But you know people are like, it's just the heat. It
Yeah.
causes this. But because of his extra Martian sense, he sees that there's something more to this. So he's going to investigate this. But also, the Martian is interested in this also in the sun. He keeps like looking at the sun and trying to figure out why is it so hot. But it's very weird, very interesting. Um, but there's also the kind of B plot in this is John Jones's wife really like finally letting him have it about
Yeah.
like you're never here, you seem so different now, almost alien, like that kind of stuff. And even some of the times when you know she's not seeing it, but when John Jones is talking he looks like the Martian.
Right,
And
right.
so you see this really big disconnect between them. And I thought you know that added a lot of humanity to the story that can be very, very weird because those scenes are almost all black and white. And so it kind of tones it down for these more serious moments. But there might be a bigger story going on that is, you know, more part of the bigger what's going on with Absolute Martian Manhunter than just another, oh, it's a hot day and I'm going to do this
Yeah.
investigation.
Yeah, I really like. I mean, we won't tell you obviously, but the ending of this was really cool when
Yeah.
there was a realization about what was really going on. It was really cool.
Yeah, so I thought this was really fun. It is, you know, especially when you're in the middle of it and you don't quite have all your answers yet, it feels extra weird.
Hmm.
Just some of the stuff the Martian's doing and stuff is very like, can he do that? Like it seems like
Right.
he's tampering with things he shouldn't be able to
Yeah.
tamper with, but it all kind of plays out in the end, and I am very interested to see how they pull all this together going forward. So very fun issue of Absolute Martian Manhunter, but very very weird, very cool. So
Weird in a good way.
yeah,
Yeah.
there is your A cover, and of course we've got some really cool variants. I love the Martian in this though. He's just kind of always just seems real chill,
Yeah.
just real,
Yeah. Right.
just kind of just like go with the
Yeah.
flow. So we have this really nice Derek Chew variant. We've got this Terso variant. We've got this Riley Rossimo 1 in 25 variant. We're selling for $14.99. And we have a 1 in 50. This is the Savage variant. We're selling for $29.99.
All right, next for me is News from the Fallout #1. This is a new miniseries from Image. This is written by Chris Condon and the art is by Jeffrey Allen Love. And this story is set in Nevada in 1962, and this issue takes place on an army base there. And we first see a man named General McCoy. He's acting really strange while he's like leering at this mysterious black rock, and he's like, it's almost like Gollum in the Rings, like, oh, my precious, you know, it's
Yeah.
kind of like, it's almost like that. But then we see that he has ordered an atomic test to be conducted at the base, and it almost sort of kind of reminded me a little bit of Oppenheimer,
Yeah.
you know, with the big tower and everything, and everybody's like away. But one of the soldiers there, his name is Private Fallows. He thinks that the test is being conducted too close to the base, and he tries to raise this concern with his commanders, and they're just like, "Get back in line, soldier," you know, that kind of thing. So after the test has been completed, the soldiers walk through the fallout. But Private Fallows is the only one who wears like almost like a hazmat suit, like a full containment suit. because I don't exactly know what they're testing, but I don't think we're supposed to know yet. And at first the soldiers seem fine, even though they're walking through this like raining ash. I think they say it's like red, and they seem fine at first, but then one of them starts to change and become kind of feral, kind of starts to growl a little bit, and he attacks another soldier, who then starts to change. And he attacks another soldier, and so on and so on, and it kind of spreads that way. But Private Fallows, he was wearing a suit, so he wasn't really affected, and so he runs, and he manages to escape to a nearby diner, but he is definitely not out of the woods yet. And then, that's where I'll leave it. So this was pretty good. On the surface, it seems like it might be your typical like zombie type book, not zombies because they're not undead, but something is like changed all these people, and as they attack, they change other people, and it kind of spreads that way. But I think there is going to be something more to it because of this black rock that this general had. They don't really tell us too much about it, but it on the back, it's almost like there's a letter where the Joint Chiefs of Staff recommend the general's removal from his position because they say they got word that he was becoming enamored with this strange porous black rock. So I think there's something there that might answer some questions as the series goes on. And it also has this really cool visual style. The whole thing kind of looks like this. It's all black and white, but it's not like crisp black and white like The Walking Dead is. It's got like this grainy sort of look to it.
It's almost like an ink wash effect on everything, where a lot of like silhouettes.
A lot of silhouettes, like the I don't want to call them zombies, but the whatever they are after they turn, like you don't even really see what they look like because they're all like shadowy, all silhouetted out. So, and it really helps to set the tone of the book too. So they're really cool. I'm interested in seeing where this goes because, like I said, I think there's more to it than just your typical zombie type book. There's more to it than that. So I can't wait to see where it goes. But this is our one and only cover.
Next up for me, I've got Giant Size Age of Apocalypse #1. This is our next in our series of giant size X-Men books that are telling the story of Kamala Khan kind of being drugged through time by Legion. Or not even necessarily, we talked about this, it's very hard to explain. It is Legion without the human part of him. He refers to himself as just power.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting bit about this that's kind of hard to wrap your head around. But this is by Jackson and Lansing, who've been doing all of these. Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly, with art by C.F. Villa and Rafael Laureiro.
Sure.
Yeah.
Laureiro.
So this one, after the last one was the like Dark Phoenix time frame and everything, Kamala and Legion find themselves in the Age of Apocalypse universe, because it's not a time, it's an alternate reality or an alternate future.
Yeah, which is weird because, the first two, so she went back in the past. Okay, cool. But now she's in a whole different reality. It's like, how did that happen? And we still don't even know why.
Yeah, we don't quite know
why this is happening,
or what really Legion's big plan is, or is there anybody else involved in this? But we saw in the end what, like, they arrived and there's a giant statue of Apocalypse and stuff, and but because of what happened with the Dark Phoenix in the previous one, basically Legion is all out of juice. Like, he's all out of power, and he can't skip through another universe or time or whatever right away. And that's the part I don't quite know yet, why he's doing it or why he needs to go through so many or whatever he's doing. But he's basically like, if we're ever going to even get out of here, because there's, a clock ticking in this universe. We've got 2 weeks to get out of here before everything is destroyed. We need to find the X-Men, because they will probably have a power source. So they end up going to running into the X-Men, and it's fun because it's the Age of Apocalypse version. So it's Rogue and her get up, and Colossus with his headband and everything, which I love seeing all of that. This takes place like right after Magneto was captured. So there's like kind of a particular place in time this does take place. But this is kind of also the eve of a big assault on Apocalypse, because he has a certain item that the X-Men think they can use to kind of set reality right again. And maybe this might also be the thing that can give power to Legion to help them travel through universes. We do get more of Kamala learning about her mutant abilities in this, which I also felt kind of I wasn't a whole lot of setup for that.
Right.
Um, but one of the X-Men kind of walks her through it, and I don't even quite know what her mutant ability is. I thought it was like, oh, it's the thing from the TV show.
It is, isn't it?
But she does something with it later that is a little bit more complex. So hopefully they give a bigger explanation for that. So the big thing about this is, can Legion actually work with the X-Men to help them defeat Apocalypse and all of that? Or is he going to be doing all this for selfish reasons? We do know the next part is going to be the House of M storyline. So you'll have to see how they get to that. But it's very interesting, and it's nice to go back to this time frame, which I love the costumes and the characters that are involved in here. But yeah, I'm really interested to see at the end of all these giant size, like what was the goal of this, or where what does this lead into, or whatever. Because part of this was like, oh, is this leading into that new Age of Apocalypse series? And not really. There is a backup story that does, but that doesn't have anything to do with the main story.
Yeah, and it's not that we're not saying that everything always has to lead into something else, but like I said, we just don't know the reason why any of this is happening yet.
Yeah.
Because in the first one of these, the giant size X-Men, she was sitting on the lamppost with Bruno, and then boom, she just like gets sucked into the past. And what I do find kind of weird is she isn't questioning it. She isn't like, oh, she's like, why are we here? What is going on, Legion? What have you done? And why me? She doesn't question anything. She's just like, oh, hey, look, I'm in the past. Oh, hey, look, I'm in an alternate universe now. So I just want to know, why her? What's Legion doing? How is Legion able to do all this in the first place? Is it even him controlling this? Like, that's just, even if it doesn't set up any story, that's fine. But I just want, hopefully we get an answer to all those questions at the end. Like, oh, well, really, we wanted to do this or that. I don't know.
Yeah, we wanted to power up Legion, to move him into whatever, But do we know what the last one of these is? I don't remember what.
I think there's a Krakoa one.
A Krakoa one, yeah.
Which is weird because that wasn't that long ago. So
yeah, she could even run into herself while she was in that. But it was still fun, and it's still fun to revisit all of these timelines and particular eras of the X-Men. Now, the other thing is, this does have a backup story like they all had before, but this one actually I feel like is a bit meatier, because this is by Jeff Loeb and
Simone DeMeo.
With lettering by our good friend Richard Starkings and Comicraft. But this is your creative team that's going to be on the new Age of Apocalypse series, whatever that's going to be later this year. And in this, we see Wolverine confronting. In this, he's called Weapon X, and he's confronting Creed, which is Sabretooth, and basically being like, "Hey, you've been slacking on your job," because they are kind of weapons for Apocalypse, his people. And Sabretooth's been slacking on his job, and Wolverine's like, I gotta take you in one way or another. But then Blink shows up, and I don't. It was a cool story. The art is really pretty.
Yeah.
Simone DeMeo's art's really pretty. But the only weird part about this is it teases like, in an age without Apocalypse, what happens, and I'm not sure.
Well, because in the new miniseries that's coming out, some of the Age of Apocalypse characters come into the 616 universe.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that's what it means. They are going into an age where there's not Apocalypse.
Yeah, but we don't see that happen.
Right. Yeah.
This is more of, this could just take place during the original Age of Apocalypse story, and it wouldn't change anything. But it's cool to see. Oh, this is kind of what it's going to look like. It's going to feel like. And that it did make me a lot more excited about the new Age of Apocalypse series, because I love that Wolverine and Wild Child's there and all of that. So looks really pretty. It seems like it's going to be really cool, and that comes out, I think, in the fall, maybe?
Something like that, yeah.
So, yeah. Interesting issue of giant-sized fill in the blank with an X-Men title. But I'm really looking forward to seeing where this all goes and kind of how this story culminates.
Yeah.
I'll say.
I just hope we get answers. That's all I want is answers.
So we've got our A cover here. And it does have kind of a greatest like hits of like Nightcrawler's in this. Oh, it's great to see all of these Age of Apocalypse characters.
Yeah.
Even like references to another traveler that showed up.
Mm-hmm.
We've got this really nice Talavera cover with Blink, who I love Blink. We've got this Art Germ with Rachel Summers. We've got this new variant. And then this basically looks like a panel from that backup story. So this is the Simone DeMeo cover. And yeah, it looks like that. Like that scene basically happens in there, which is really cool looking. We also have this 1 in 25 Tony Daniel variant we're selling for $14.99. And we have a Virgin version of that Blink cover. It's a 1 in 50. We're selling for $59.99.
All right, next up is Absolute Wonder Woman number 9, and this is part 2 of As My Mother's Made Me, which is the next big story arc that's going on here. And at the end of last issue, beginning of this issue, Dr. Poison tells Diana about a maze where she can find another Amazon, and obviously Diana wants to find another Amazon, so she's like, "Hey, tell me where it is. I'm gonna go." Right? So she does plan to enter the maze to go find that Amazon, but Steve and her other friends at the new palace that she built last issue,
the Fortress of Solitude, or
her Hall of Justice, maybe.
Justice.
I don't know if it's gonna be
very Hall of Justice looking.
But they think that she's crazy. It could be a trap. You don't know what you're doing. This is a maze of legend, and there's no door out. But Diana is undeterred. She wants to go find this Amazon.
She's pretty good at making doors, though.
Yeah, right. Yeah, she's not too worried about it, right? So she does enter the maze, and we were confused about that too because the solicitations keep mentioning this maze, but the last issue there wasn't one, but there is one in this. She is in a maze in this, and it's not long before we see this right here, like this that's on the cover actually does kind of happen. And I love calling that out because there's so many comics where what you see on the cover doesn't happen at all in the book. So I love it when it actually does. So we actually do more or less see this in the book.
Does wear her really cool helmet.
She does, yeah. She has the helmet. She's got the fur thing. Like she's all like decked out. But like I said, you do see this in the issue, but it's not. Maybe it's not what it seems.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a little bit more to it than that. And she also does make another discovery in the maze, but it is definitely not what she was expecting. And we have to wait till next issue to find out what it is. So just another really cool issue of Absolute Wonder Woman. Just the next part in this next big story arc. I think this story arc is going to last 5 or 6 issues, just like the first one did. So we're going to be in this story for a while, and so far it's great.
Yeah, what happens at the very end, I'm interested.
Yeah.
Because she even says something, and it's like, oh, then what does this mean?
Right.
Type thing. But I think, I like the Tetracide story in the beginning, but I think even after that, it's only gotten better and better.
Oh, for sure.
I love the 2-issue in-between story
that was great.
And then this is... I think once we got past the setup and now we're into there's more characters, there's more kind of adventure. In the Tetracide story, she was just in the one city, but now she's going through portals and doing all this stuff. A lot more action and creatures and everything. I just think it's getting better and better.
For sure.
It's still early enough that you can read up till this point, but I hope everyone's enjoying this because I am thoroughly enjoying this.
I'm loving it for sure. So this is our A cover. And then we have some nice variants. This is the In-Hyuk Lee variant. And this is another one that kind of looks like a statue.
Did he do the other one that looked like a statue? The Spider version?
Spider-Boy? Was it Spider?
It was Spider-Ham fighting Venom.
I think maybe he did, yeah. So I guess maybe this is a series he's doing, so that looks really cool.
He's pitching himself as like, hey, you should start making statues based on my art.
I buy him. This is the Reiko Murakami variant. And this is the Virgin version of that In-Hyuk Lee cover that we are... I don't have the ratio on this one, but we're selling this one for $29.99.
Yeah, that series just continues to be just tons of fun.
Yeah.
And I'm more interested when I pick it up, like, what am I going to see this time?
Right.
Because I feel like it's where the first story arc was like, pretty straightforward. This one gets weirder and more magic and everything. Okay, well, next up I have Superman. This is Superman number 27. And this definitely is an issue that feels like if 25 was like kind of the culmination of a lot of things, this kind of ties up some more of those loose ends. So in this, we've got the stuff with Superman where he's got his red rage going on that he kind of can't control, but he thinks that he might know who can help, and of course that is Lex Luthor, who kind of got him into this in the first place. We also saw in the last issue, I think, at the very end, that Marilyn Moonlight showed up again. We've got Lex confronting Mercy Graves in this and kind of making her a proposition. And there's something Lex goes somewhere in here, and I need to talk to you after this about where you think that is, because I have a feeling I know where that is, but I don't know what that is going to mean going forward. But we also have like Dr. Farm and Graft are attacking the city with a giant robot that's got a big Superman logo on it, but Superman tries to fight it and he can't really even make contact with it. What he needs is something special that he can fight it with. But really what this issue feels like is it kind of wraps up the Red Rage story that Superman's had. It kind of wraps up this Lex and Mercy Graves story, the Farm and Graft story. It wraps up, even though it doesn't like definitively end them, at least it feels like when we go into the next story, which is going to be the Dark Legion story, that we've had enough closure to some of those other things that it didn't just like leave stuff hanging open.
Yeah.
Which I really like. What Superman has to do to stop this giant robot is really cool, and I did not see that coming. Kind of some status quo stuff is changed in here, but I would say one of the most important bits of this is the epilogue. So the epilogue for this is leading us into our Dark Legion storyline with what are the Dark Legion up to. There's still references of Darkseid, but we don't even know what form Darkseid currently exists in. We know Booster Gold is going to play a big part in this. So, were you looking up to see which was the first part?
I can't find it, but I believe if you buy Superman and Justice League Unlimited this week, read Superman first, because the epilogues, it doesn't really matter, but the epilogues in each one make a little bit more sense if you read this one first.
Let's just say one of the epilogues, a character says, "I'm going somewhere," and then the second one is him arriving at the place he said he was going.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, yeah, if you read one out of order, you'd be like, oh, that's how he got, that's where he came from or whatever. But, if you want to kind of see continuity-wise in order, I think that is right. Superman, then...
Superman first, yeah.
Superman first, yes. Because I read them in reverse order.
I did too, yeah.
So, another great issue of Superman. It is still one of the best books on the stands. I'm always excited about when there's a new issue of it. And I can't wait for the next one when we get into the Dark Legion stuff, because I think that's when this stuff is really going to start heating up. We've got some great variants for this. So first off, we have this. Speaking of Jerry Ordway, got a Jerry Ordway. This is a movie variant. We also have this George Perez variant. We've got this Stott. I think this is, Rachel Stott Pride variant, which is really cool with a parade. We've got this Aspinall cover, which Superman changing from Clark to Superman. We have this really nice Gillum March variant with Lois. And lastly, we have a, this is the 1 in 25 Ariel Colon variant that we are selling for $14.99.
I didn't see that one. That's awesome.
Yeah. That might give you a hint of something you might see here.
There's that one too.
Oh, yep.
All right, so next up, kind of continuing along that line, is Justice League Unlimited number 8, and this is the finale of the We Are Yesterday crossover that crossed over between this book and Batman Superman World's Finest. Not a lot to say about this because telling you anything would spoil the entire story, but I will say that this issue is all out action between the Legion of Doom and a whole bunch of time displaced heroes, even more than you see on the cover here. Plus, Dan Mora is back on interior pencils on this, so it looks gorgeous. Like I said, can't tell you about a lot of what happens in here, but it does feel like it's planting the seeds for the next big event that I think starts in October. Because you mentioned with Superman number 28, that kind of brings in the Legion of Darkseid. We know that Booster Gold is going to be involved in that in some way, shape, or form. And then this also plants some seeds for that as well. We do know that there is I don't know if it's a one shot or a mini series. It's kind of spinning out of this that features some of those time displaced heroes. I can't remember what it's called. It doesn't come out for a little while.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this whole issue, I mean, is really just one big fight between these groups of characters, and you see. Like you might see two different Supermen. Like I think Superman Blue and another Superman, you might see them together, and Batman Beyond and Barry Allen Year One is in there. A little bit of 0 Year Batman with the sleeves and
the one that plays a actually has like quite a bit of speaking parts and stuff is the hook-handed Aquaman,
90s
which
Aquaman.
I loved seeing in this, especially because Aquaman in his own book hasn't been with the Justice League. He's doing his own thing in the blue and all that. So seeing an Aquaman teamed up here, especially this one, that's there is a moment where this Aquaman sees Black Manta, and is basically like, that dude is bad, and if you know why the current Aquaman is the way he is, it's a little bit more fresh what Black Manta did to him and everything.
Yeah.
And I just love the interactions are really fun of, characters from different times talking to like a weird version of a character they are familiar with.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun, and I don't know, art was phenomenal.
Oh yeah, and I think and I did see today that Dan Morris said that he'll be on this book for the rest of the next arc, for the entire next arc, and he said hopefully beyond that. So we're gonna get treated to some more Dan Moore artwork. So yeah, this is a really fun, exciting issue, very pretty, and it just it's only gonna get crazier and bigger from here. So this is our A cover. We have this Edgecure variant, and we actually do see those characters in there at least for a little bit. This is our Hayden Sherman variant. This is the George Perez variant with your classic Justice League team there. And then this is the 1 in 25 Travis Moore and Bonvillain variant. I think that's a wraparound too.
Well, next up, we have a new series I'm very excited about. This is VR Troopers #1. I grew up watching Power Rangers and VR Troopers and Big Bad Beetleborgs and all of the all the derivatives of said groups of characters wearing suits fighting giant monsters.
Did you watch the tattooed teenage alien fighters from Beverly Hills?
No, I didn't.
That's a real one.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, it's like at that time, there was tons of Ninja Turtles knockoffs.
Right.
Samurai Pizza Cats and Street Sharks and SWAT Cats and all of that. But also Power Rangers had plenty of their own. The Mystic Knights, I don't remember what they were Mystic Knights of, but yeah those. Anyways, VR Troopers was always one of my favorite ones. One, just because their costumes look so cool. But this is cool because this is by Marguerite Scott and Sebastian Perez and JP Jordan. And this is set within the Power Rangers Prime universe. I just read the first volume of Power Rangers Prime a week or two ago. And so if you don't know what that is, it's basically like the absolute or the ultimate version of Power Rangers, where it starts back from the beginning and tells kind of a different timeline version of the Power Rangers. So the Earth in that is occupied by the Eltarian colony. So there's a bunch of like blue skinned people there in Angel Grove, along with the humans.
Did it still have Jason and Kimberly and Billy, different characters?
Yeah, they're different characters and stuff. So it's quite a bit different. But this, you don't need to know too much about that to read this. This does kind of fill you in on some of that. And you just have to know there's people with blue skin that are kind of a regular day thing. But in this, the VR troopers are kind of the like elite squad for the Eltarian colony. They're the the elite guard, elite class. There's only so many of them. They come in for special assignments and everything.
And they're out in the real world. They're not in
Yeah,
cyberspace, which I think the original ones were, right?
I can't quite remember if they were sometimes in it, sometimes not, or
Yeah.
what it was. But in this, we follow Ryan, who is the main VR trooper, kind of the leader of the three. And because of something that happened in the Power Rangers Prime, which they tell you what it is, but he's kind of he's down in the dumps, and he says I haven't been sleeping and stuff. So he decides I'm going to go out for just a midnight stroll to clear my head, where he comes upon the Angel Grove water and power plant and notices that the fence in it has been cut. And he's like, "This sounds like a job for a VR trooper." So he gears up.
So he rips his shirt open, takes his glasses off.
Yeah, and then puts on everything
Right.
else. Yeah. He goes in there and he actually runs into something he doesn't expect to find. And I don't want to give too much away because this is the first issue and it's definitely the setup issue for some big stuff to come. He runs into a character that is going to lead him down a path where he is going to actually learn the truth of the VR troopers. They always thought they were meant to be these elite guard and everything, but that was not what they were originally created for. And it's kind of like their eyes are open to a bigger world in this when they learn really what the VR troopers are. It's really fun. The art is great. It's very much in line with like what a lot of the Power Rangers art looks like, but it's a lot of action. It's a lot of like karate and that kind of stuff. It's a lot of fun. Great character designs. Plus, we get like a full like cover gallery in the back of most of the covers for this issue. Get full page things, so that's really cool. And I'm very excited to see where the series goes because yeah, you did see they kind of more in the Power Rangers Prime book like see the VR troopers on TV and be like, oh, they were called to this certain place or whatever, and one of the characters in Power Rangers was dating one of the VR troopers. So it kind of branches out that way, but it actually looks like maybe the VR troopers going to be going in a very different direction in this series. So I believe this is an ongoing thing. So if you're reading Power Rangers, you can also pick up this. I'm reading the Power Rangers in trade, but I'm going to be getting issue by issue of this because I just think it's really, really cool. So, highly recommend VR Troopers #1. This is your A cover. We also have this Montez. They're doing the helmet variants like they did with Power Rangers. Probably there's only like 3 VR Trooper helmets, so we'll get through these pretty fast. We have a really cool Dan Panosian variant. We've got a foil version of the A cover. We have a blank sketch variant. We have a Darbo variant. We have a unlockable variant that's like a virgin version of that helmet. We've got a 1 in 10 of the A cover, a virgin version of that we're selling for $7.99. We've got a virgin version of the Dan Panosian that's a 1 in 20. We're selling for $9.99. And lastly, we've got a 1 in 25 that we're selling for $19.99. That is a Jorge Corona variant. So that's very cool as well.
All right. Well, I've got Fantastic Four number 33. This is the final issue of this run. However, we're not going to be without Fantastic Four. Fantastic Four #1 comes out next month in July. Still written by Ryan North, just like this series has been, and the art in that one is going to be by Humberto Ramos. So that's going to look great. But this is wrapping up the series that's been running for the last couple of years. And I just wanted to talk about this one because it's really, really awesome. It's very suspenseful, that kind of thing. So if you've been following this series for the last few issues and following the One World Under Doom event, you know that Doctor Doom used his powers as a Sorcerer Supreme to turn Ben back to normal, into a normal human. And the Fantastic Four have been trying ever since to get his powers back. And in this one, Valeria comes up with a plan to restore his powers by traveling all the way back to the Big Bang and harnessing the cosmic rays from that event, from the event that created the universe, she wants to use those cosmic rays to restore Ben. But Reed tells her that it cannot be done because anything that's there during the Big Bang will be eradicated in seconds. And so she then says, "All right, well then we'll have to do it in nanoseconds." you know, and I won't say how they did it, but I will say that they need Herbie's help to do it. And this is the best Herbie story that you'll ever read. He's really the actual hero of this book, and it's very it's very suspenseful. It's very kind of edge your seat. Like I was like, oh my gosh, are they going to pull this off? Even though we've seen preview artwork from the next issue and he's back in his Rocky form, so it's. But I was still even like, gosh, are they going to pull this off? How is this going to work? But and it's very kind of emotional. Like this almost actually made me tear up. With a few things that Herbie does. And like it's just great. It's a great ending to a great run of Fantastic Four. I can't wait for the next run to start. But yeah, so if you've been reading this, you could probably almost pick this up if you just know that, hey, things happened. Ben went to his regular form. They're trying to restore him. And Valeria has this plan. Like you could almost pick this up sight unseen. Like if you just want to read a cool Fantastic Four story, you almost don't really need to know anything that came before it, other than Ben was returned to a human form. So just a really, really great finale. I was blown away, especially the stuff in the middle, the stuff with Herbie. Like it's so good. So just wanted to talk about this one for a minute. And this is the only cover we have.
Well, next up, I want to talk about Ultimate Spider-Man number 18. So, of course, this is still one of the biggest books coming out right now, and it continues to be excellent. This picks up after the surprise of the previous issue where Peter finally learned that Harry Osborn wasn't dead after their time with Kraven. And he gets that call to space like, hey, I need your help. So this picks up right there where Harry arrives and he and Peter are going to go off back to New York because Peter and his family have been in Utah, I think.
I don't remember where they've been, like camping in the desert
or Nevada
somewhere,
or something
yeah.
like that, kind of laying low. But Peter's going to leave with Harry to make sure his family's safe. They're going to leave them behind, but they know that something's brewing in New York with Kingpin and all the Sinister Six that are there. Like it's really coming to a boiling point. And Harry's like, we're going to be needed there. So they're going to go back. But they do know that there's going to be a little time before something's going to happen. And what I did like in this is there's a moment where they're basically like, you want to go like fight bad guys. And we get some great Spider-Man Green Goblin team up that we've been missing for a while. There hasn't been a whole lot of Peter Parker Spider-Man in his suit.
My very first note that I made for this is I'm happy to say that there actually is some Spider-Man in this Spider-Man book, and we actually see some action with him too. Yeah,
there's some action. It's brief, but it's a lot of fun. We do see maybe some ultimate versions of Spider-Man villains that we know.
Yeah.
If you can kind of like interpret what you're looking at, looks like we see a few of them. So that's kind of the story going on with Peter, but maybe the bigger, the story that is going to be more of a hitch in the overall story is what's going on with Peter's son Richard, who has kind of started a little fling with Black Cat. They're texting
like
each
father,
other.
like son, chip off the old block.
So he's been texting her and everything after they had their fun little outing together a few issues ago. And Black Cat is kind of like, hey, I might need your help for something. And Richard, of course, is not necessarily following his head, but following his heart. And he is going to get himself in a lot of trouble because, I feel like he is more representative of like classic Peter Parker who thinks he's doing the right thing and ends up falling for something that he maybe shouldn't have. And where this ends with his story, I'm like, oh, that's gonna definitely cause Peter to, be more of an instigator to be involved in all of this. And, the way Black Cat acts too, you go like, that's pretty Black Cat of her. So I think it was really fun. It's a fun kind of mirror of very traditional stories of Spider-Man and Black Cat, but seeing it through the lens of his son and how all that works is really, really cool.
And what's really cool about this issue too is we learn who the fifth Mysterio is. But I never would have guessed it.
Did we?
Yeah.
Oh, I must have missed that.
Yeah, because we learned that Gwen is is part of a group of 5 people who are playing this role of Mysterio, but we never knew who the fifth one was. But we see who the fifth one is in this issue, and I was very surprised.
Okay, you'll have to tell me
Yeah.
afterwards because I saw a few of them, but I just was like, oh, that's so and so. Anyways, yeah, really fun issue, but it definitely feels like it is setting up for the big stuff that's coming with Kingpin, probably next issue.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just right at the peak of a lot of action, it seems. So this is your A cover. And we also have this fantastic Coelho variant. This is so awesome.
Ding, ding, ding. That's the one that I pre-ordered.
Me too!
I love that one.
I love this Terry Dodson cover. This is a 1 in 25. We're selling for $14.99. Any more covers of Mary Jane on it is fine by me. And that is it.
All right. Well, I've got Vision and Scarlet Witch #2. And I'm enjoying this. Like, it's only 2 issues in, but I'm really liking this series so far. So, at the very, very end of the last issue, Wanda brought Vision back from near death. But when she did that, he came back in his all white form. And the very first, or the first several pages of this issue show him not dealing with that very well. His emotions are actually kind of dialed up to 11 because she did that. So he's really like he's angry and he's sad and like he's got all these emotions going on. So she actually has to take him to the ethereal plane so that he doesn't hurt himself or anyone else. Kind of like take him out of reality for a minute while he calms down, and which he eventually does. He eventually does sort of level out, and then Wanda uses her powers to track down the Grim Reaper, who we saw in last issue. And it's here that we actually learn how the Grim Reaper came back from the dead, and also what these death's doors are that popped up everywhere last issue that is drawing people to them to enter, and then they never come out. So we get some answers there, which is really good. There's a little bit more that happens after that, but I don't want to tell you because the ending of this issue is even more shocking than the end of last issue. Something that I'm pretty excited about happens on the very last page, so can't wait to see where that goes. But yeah, I mean, this has been fun. I didn't really, the last couple Scarlet Witch miniseries weren't really for me. They didn't really do it for me, but I have really been enjoying this one. The artwork is really cool. We get a couple of really beautiful double page spreads. The colors are really cool too from Ruth Redmond because she colors, Vision is in his all white form, but there's like tints of the green and the yellow and the red and stuff. Mm-hmm. It's almost like he's glass,
Yeah.
and as he turns, you see like a small tint of green. So it's not just like flat white, it's more dynamic than that. So it looks great. It's a cool story based on something that happens in here. I think we're going to see a lot more of the Death's Doors next issue. So yeah, very, very cool, very fun, and it looks great. So this is our A cover, and there's some nice variants for this. This is the Villa-Lobos variant. This is our Shaw, Bring on the Bad Guys variant. Mephisto's not in this. And then this is our Todd Knock. What do they call these? The iconic variant? Yeah, the icon variants. And then this is the... I don't have the J... Ancoletto variant. I don't have the ratio on this one, but we're selling it. Probably a 1 in 25. We're selling that for $24.99.
Next up, I'm going to talk about a really fun book. This is Spider-Man and Wolverine #2.
Oh, yeah.
This is a book that, I don't want to say like when it first was announced or whatever, I was like super excited about. Like, it sounded fun. But
yeah,
it just sounded like a cool miniseries.
Spider-Man and Wolverine, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. No, like it's something we haven't seen it before. But the first issue was really, really cool. Set up a storyline. For one, in it we saw like Wolverine fighting Spider-Man characters, and then Spider-Man fighting Wolverine villains. That was really cool. The stuff with Mysterio was cool. But the big thing at the end was that it looked like Wolverine was responsible for Peter Parker's parents' death. And once Peter Parker found out about that, you couldn't stop him from attacking Wolverine. And actually, if you're gonna have a hero fight a hero, this is a way better reason.
That's a good reason to do it.
Than some of the reasons we get.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, this issue, this probably all takes place in a 10-minute span after the previous issue, as Spider-Man and Wolverine just go at it. This is some of the most action we've seen from any Spider-Man and any Wolverine in a long time from any of the books.
Yeah.
Like,
this entire issue is just the two of them fighting, to the point where I was like, I don't even know how to make notes on this, because it's just one big fight scene and it looks fantastic.
It looks fantastic. Big 2-page spreads or sequences of them doing cool moves and everything. All the while Wolverine is trying to like say I didn't do that or whatever. But maybe he doesn't. He does have a very convincing argument that he was not responsible.
Yeah, and I'm still not convinced that Wolverine did do it, but that's the thing, is we don't know for sure even after this issue.
Yeah.
Maybe he did, maybe he didn't.
Yeah, especially with coming from if you were kind of in Spider-Man's perspective in this, because we've only seen what he's seen, and from that, it doesn't look good. Like, we see more of the scene that has convinced him that Wolverine is responsible, but even seeing more of that, it still looks like it's Wolverine. Yeah. So, like, as they're fighting, you kind of don't really know who's in the right in this. And then there is a big final thing that happens on the last page that is now like, oh, what's going to happen in the next one? Because that's crazy. Yeah. So, yeah, this has been incredible. Kari Andrews' art is over the top. It feels like a 90s book with like Joe Madureira.
Well, I think that Kari Andrews right now is the closest thing we have to like a modern day Todd McFarlane. Yeah. I mean, every time I see his Spider-Man, I think Todd McFarlane. And even like there's a point in this where the way the light shines up on Spider-Man's face, they do the thing that they used to do in the 90s. Tom Lyle used to do this where it's just like solid, like bright red, like the webs only come down to a certain part, and then it's just like a solid, like bright red color to signify that there's light reflecting. And I haven't seen that kind of thing since the 90s done with Spider-Man. I mean, this looks like that kind of book.
Yeah, and there's a part where Spider-Man like kicks, and you're looking like straight at his feet as he's kicking at Wolverine, and so it's like his feet, and then you can see his like his calves behind that. It almost looked like something maybe Eric Larson would have done or something. It's because it's like a little scene, but there's still a lot of action. Oh, I was about to say, I do have a note on that. It is a gnarly fight, and at one point, Wolverine, his jaw is basically hanging on by a thread.
It's brutal. I mean, that looks like Todd McFarlane. That looks like McFarlane. This looks like a McFarlane book.
So, this is a book that I would, not that I wouldn't necessarily go for, but that I would be like, that was fun, and I put it down, and I don't have a lot to say about it.
See what I'm talking about? With the solid color on his face?
Yeah. But this is an A-tier book. Like, this is really cool. It is beautiful.
To give you an idea, when you get to the second page, you have to do this.
Yeah.
So.
It's bombastic.
Yeah.
So fun. So, yeah, I highly recommend this. I'm now sold on it. I am looking forward to seeing where it goes.
Yeah.
I almost don't care where it goes because it's such a fun ride. And I kind of think that's the tell of a good book is not like, well, what are we going to get out of it?
Yeah.
It's like, I'm just enjoying the ride. It can be like this for however long.
Yeah, but there is a good mystery to it, though. I mean, it's not just pretty artwork. Like, I'm hooked, too. It's like, I want to find out what's really going on with all this stuff,
Yeah,
so.
yeah. And there's a lot of, like, Wolverine says, like, I didn't do this, but then Spider-Man comes back and is like, well, yeah, but this shows me one thing. Yeah. It like, both sides have a good argument, and, yeah, very, very cool. So, just high praise for Spider-Man Wolverine.
If the Spider-Man in this is the one we had in Amazing Spider-Man, like, he would have mopped the floor with Hobgoblin in 3 seconds. Tombstone would be a memory,
Yeah, he's doing all of the classic Spider-Man tricks.
Yeah. This is a Spider-Man that's like cut loose,
Yeah. We also have a really cool incentive. This is the 1 in 25 Coelho variant. We're selling for $19.99.
Golly, that looks awesome.
And that almost looks like you chose your fighters in a fighting game, and then it like does the shing,
Yeah.
and it says like fight, and then it goes. Just so cool.
Yeah.
If you want a book that just feels like nonstop action and kind of your '90s feel of Wolverine and Spider-Man,
Oh, for sure.
That's it.
Yep. All right, well, real quick, I've got Mr. Terrific Year 1, Number 2. I like this issue a lot better than the first one. I thought that it helped answer some questions I had from the first issue. I almost feel like this is really where the story really gets started. It better explains what happened with Paula, who was Michael Holt's wife, who died. And, we heard about that in the first issue. And after she died, he sold his company. And this just like fleshes that out a lot more. And it's all explained. What's really cool about it is that all of that is explained through a very long conversation with the Spectre. So the Spectre actually is in this, and he's around in the book for a little bit. He's not just like in one panel and they put it on the cover. Like the Spectre plays a big part in this issue. It's really cool because we talked about this, wondering the original Mr. Terrific is referenced in this, and it kind of helps explain why Michael Holt adopted the same moniker, the same kind of thing. Like the Spectre told him all about the original Mr. Terrific. They were on the JSA together, so that gets fleshed out a lot too. And we learned that Athena Prescott, who is the woman who Michael Holt sold his company to, and she's kind of the antagonist of this whole thing. She's kind of the reason why Michael Holt's kind of like getting back into action. Let's just say we learn that she's working for somebody else, and it actually may have some ties to what is going on in current day DC, so far as like the big stuff that's going to be happening in Justice League and Superman pretty soon. So even though this takes place in the past, it has that nice connective tissue, but you don't need to read those to read this as well. But if you do, you get a bigger picture. So yeah, I like this one a lot more than the first one. And I think the next issue, I think we might get into a little bit of like heroics, with a costume and everything. So very cool. I enjoyed this. So there's our A cover with the Spectre, and we have this Jorge Fornes variant as well.
Next up, I have number 1 of the new Biker Mice from Mars ongoing series. And don't sleep on this one. I actually thought, I did read the previous miniseries, and I thought it was fun, but, I felt like kind of a toy tie-in book or whatever. This really stepped it up. So it's by Melissa Flores, and the art is by Daniel Geet. And this is cool because it starts off very much like the previous one. So you've got the Biker Mice. They're on Mars. They're kind of this... They're they're the good guys, but they're kind of this like rebellious biker gang, kind of just rebels. But they've built out now. They have a lot more mice on motorcycles.
Can never have too many.
No, Beverly clearly knew that. Mouse on a motorcycle. But they're fighting against the Plutarchians, who are these like fish people. It's all very classic Biker Mice from Mars, and everything is going like you would imagine a classic episode of the show going, until something happens that at first was like, oh, okay, there's a natural disaster that happens on Mars. That you're like, whoa, that's crazy. And this turns into such an emotional survival issue of the Biker Mice trying to save the people of this city and losing people that are close to them. And, like, it's tragic, and it's emotional, and it's harrowing and everything. It takes it from like a Saturday morning cartoon to like an HBO show where you're like, whoa, like this is bigger stuff. And then it gets even kind of crazier when you get to the end to realize what the bigger story, how that seemingly just natural event is maybe tied in with the bigger story that is crazy. So I just highly recommend this issue of Biker Mice from Mars. At least try out the first one, because I think you'll be surprised at the kind of mature nature of it, not in content but in storytelling, that I never thought I would get from a book about mice with antennae riding motorcycles on Mars. But very cool. Plus, this is a flip book, although the second story is not as big. If you flip it over, there is RoboForce number 0 on the other side.
Oh man, that takes me back.
Yeah,
to my
so
childhood.
you get a little RoboForce story that is a prequel comic to the RoboForce show that's on right now that's apparently getting really good reviews
Yeah.
on
Tubi?
Tubi.
Is it?
So yeah, we watched a little bit of it with the trailer for it in
Yeah.
Chicago. But yeah, so that's really cool, and you get that. It's not as long as the Micro Mice one, but I think you're going to be getting that in every issue as well. So really fun, highly recommended. Plus, EJ Sue does the art in the RoboForce one, which is really cool. So yeah, definitely check it out. That is your A cover. We have a green, Martian green blank sketch cover. And we have a Juan Jose Rip variant. I'm not sure what the ratio is this is, but we're selling it for $9.99.
I've got Assorted Crisis Events number 4, and this is a really good issue, but it's really depressing, actually. And the cool thing about this series is none of these issues relate to each other, so you can read these out of order. I missed number 3, but it doesn't matter because each issue is its own thing. This is about a guy named Mike, and his life is zooming by faster than he realizes. And it's interesting because every time, because the premise of this whole series is that there are these atypical temporal phenomena. It's basically like all of time and space is colliding with each other in things from barbarians appear on the street one minute, and then you might see a flying car overhead the next, and it's just like it's craziness, right? So this guy Mike in this issue, every time he has to make a decision about something, he finds out that he's already made it. So basically, what's happening to Mike
Sounds
is
more
that
annoying than anything.
well, he's basically losing time, like literally, like he's basically jumping his way through time. With his, it's almost like his body's going through it, but his mind is not. So for example, he is running late to a job interview, but by the time he gets there, he finds out that he already got the job, and he doesn't know what he's supposed to be doing. So like there was a little bit of a time jump there. When he finally finds an apartment to rent, boom, he's already moved in, and like he just like he's having these time skips. He goes on a first date with a woman, and by the time he realizes that it's not working, they're already on their third date, and she's pregnant.
Oh my gosh.
They get married, and he's trying to decide whether he should cheat on his wife or not, and which happens when he goes to tell the other woman, this is a one time, I made a mistake, this is a one time thing. She says we've been seeing each other for over a year already. So there's like these big time jumps all the way through the end to
So
the
his
end of
life
his
is
life.
being like crunched together.
Exactly. So and his body is aging as well. It's not like Back to the Future where he's like his body is aging. Like he just like sort of wakes up and it's like, oh my gosh, it's 10 years later. So it's like his body is going through time normally almost, but his mind isn't. And like I said, he's experiencing atypical temporal phenomena, but I kind of feel like it's also a metaphor for how fast time really does fly by. Like I've said it before. I tell my son, like, enjoy every minute you have because the older you get, the faster time goes by. And it's really depressing to think about it. And then this guy is experiencing that, but cranked up to 11. So it's really interesting, just like all these different things, like, he gets fired from his job and he's like, I've got to go find another one. Boom, he's been in a new job for 10 years already, but he realizes that, oh, I must have taken one for less pay because my check is a lot less. I still don't know what I even do here, that kind of thing. It's a really cool, clever issue. You do not have to have read anything else. If you want to read this story, you can just pick this up free and clear of anything else. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about it because
interesting, like thought experiment.
yeah, exactly. It's a really cool concept, and yeah, I recommend it a lot. So this is the only cover we have.
Well, next up, I've got Star Wars Legacy of Vader number 5. This is a really fun issue. Continuing what happened in the previous one where Kylo begins his invasion of Naboo. But as the locals start fighting back against the First Order, someone kind of on the ground appears to the locals and gives them advice on how to fight against the First Order. I won't tell you who it is, but you will immediately recognize them. And that will raise the question of why are they telling them how to defeat the First Order that is currently invading. This is also a very interesting kind of like what are motivations of certain things and just the end of the last issue and this one are kind of a little self-contained story about Kylo's time on Naboo and researching his family history and all of that. So yeah, this was a really fun issue. The next one I think is involving Corellia on his dad's side now and everything. This has been a great series so far. Highly recommend Star Wars Legacy of Vader. That is your A cover for it. We also have a Stott Pride cover. We have a Aka variant. And lastly, we have, this is part 8 of 10 of these covers, the Force Awakens anniversary covers. It's just a couple more to go.
I've got The Thing #2, continuing this miniseries. And in this one, Ben and Marty Flynn, who is Ben's childhood friend that came to him for help last issue, they go out to start looking for Marty's niece, but they pretty quickly run into Bullseye. So this actually kind of sort of does happen in the book. And Bullseye really shouldn't be much of a physical match for Ben. And Ben even tells him that because Bullseye throws some like throwing stars at him and they just bounce off. He's like, listen, man, I've got rock hard skin. I'm super strong. I don't know what do you think you're doing. However, they do start fighting, and just like the fight with Gladiator last issue, Ben actually has a tough time defeating Bullseye because of reasons that I won't tell you about. They know that Bullseye is working for somebody, and they try to find out who that is, and it leads them to another very surprising discovery at the end of the book. So, yeah, I mean, just this isn't really connected to Fantastic Four or anything that's going on there. It's just a cool story of Ben Grimm looking for a missing child and running into some villains that he should be able to defeat pretty easily, but they've been enhanced or something like that. So just another really cool issue of this miniseries, and there is our A cover, and we have this Cabal variant. No cat in this one
because it's on the cover.
That's right.
Next up, I have a new kind of a one-shot. This is Mega Man Timelines #1. This is really fun. This is by Travis Maiden and Kenny Ruiz. Does the art, and he also did this cover, so it's really pretty on the inside, very action-packed. And this is set during like the original Mega Man time with your first Mega Man. Not a whole lot to say about the story in this. Mega Man faces off against some robot masters, against Blast Man, and another one that maybe is going to play a bigger part in this. I'm not quite sure, but I did want to talk about the format of this. So it's going to be one-shots that, since it's timelines, like each of them are going to be a different, like Mega Man, we're going to have the Mega Man X one, like all the different iterations, which I'm not super familiar with all of them, but originally I was like, oh, and we're going to have one little one-and-done story, but it looks like they might actually connect. And so I'm very interested because they're, the different Mega Mans are sometimes different characters, they're different times, they're, very vastly different worlds that these are in. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how these are connected. But if you're looking for a really fun, very kind of manga inspired action story, a lot of fighting, a lot of cool gadgets and humor and fun art, all of that, check out Mega Man Timelines #1. So yeah, that cover, that's your interior artist. And we also have this one in, I think this is a 1 in 10 variant that we're selling for $7.99. I'm not sure the artist, but it's a very cool,
oh yeah,
kind of like landscape version.
I've got Predator versus Spider-Man #3. This is the next to last issue of this miniseries. And, this whole time I've been wanting to see Spider-Man fight Skinner, which is the weird Predator in this, the sort of like the main Predator in this, and we still don't get that. However, we do see him fight the other 3 Predators that have descended on Earth because they're trying to get Skinner as well. So we finally get to see Spider-Man fight multiple Predators, which is really cool. The Spider-Man from the Wolverine Spider-Man book would have wiped the floor with him. So while he's doing that, Craven does something to keep the power off in the city because the city, this whole story, it's been a huge heat wave through the city and the power was shut off. They're trying to fix it. Craven does something so that that doesn't happen because he says that if the news gets out about what's really happening in the city, the Avengers will show up and he wants to fight. He wants to hunt and fight the Predators on his own. And then Mary Jane and the girl that she's been helping that were on the subway, they're still trying to escape. They're now just like running through the sewers and they're trying to escape Skinner, who is actually down there chasing them. And they have to do something pretty gruesome to hide from Skinner. It gave me the heebie-jeebies to see that. But yeah, so like we're starting to get into some really cool action in this. And then next issue, it looks like we may have Spider-Man and Kraven versus all the Predators. It may just be like a big battle royale. I don't know. But yeah, really cool to see Spider-Man fight those Predators. And there's a couple different sequences of that happening, so I like that a lot. So this is our A cover, and we have this 1 in 25 La Roca variant that we are selling for $14.99.
Next up, another book that I think just keeps getting better and better. This is Hyde Street number 7, and this issue is awesome. Now that we've definitely got into, like, we know some of our characters, we're now starting to see them. These aren't origins, and we're now seeing them interact. And Pranky, of course, turns out he's like the biggest villain of this series, as he just kind of loves the horrible things that he is doing. But someone's ruining that for him, and that is the matinee monster that we were introduced, who has 0 souls collected because he's actually a good person. And Pranky wants to get rid of him. But he learns that I think he even says one of his scout guides or something says you can only fight a monster with a monster. So Pranky has to find himself a monster or a few to take on the matinee monster. I'll say this is really fun because first off, the first page is a goofy comic that you would find on the back of a cereal box with some kind of versions of, they're not Count Chocula and Boo Berry, but they are. There's a swamp creature, and there is a witch and another character. So it's fun to see like this, and they're like, "Oh, it's the strange case of Dr. Jelly and Mr. Peanut Butter." And this guy, if he eats the cereal, changes from Dr. Jelly to Mr. Peanut Butter, who's crazy for the cereal and stuff. Really fun.
I want a full comic of just that.
But that actually plays into the bigger story.
Okay.
But it starts out with Pranky is actually reading the back of a cereal box, and you get to read that comic. It's awesome. I can't wait to see where it goes from here, but this may be one of my favorite issues of the series so far, and that's saying something because every issue of the series is phenomenal. So the art, Ivan Rice's art, so cool. Actually kind of scary. Just love this one. So there is your A cover for that, and that is the only cover I have.
Well, next I've got Superior Avengers number 3, continuing this One World Under Doom miniseries. And this is a very action-packed issue. The Superior Avengers receive word that Graviton has escaped the raft, so they head out to deal with him. I don't know when the last time we saw Graviton was. But when they arrive, the actual Avengers, the quote-unquote real Avengers, are there as well. And then what's funny about that is Captain Marvel says that the priority is taking down Graviton, and she says we are not going to get bogged down with fighting other heroes. We got to take down the bad guy.
That's novel.
But then both teams of Avengers start fighting each other instead, right? So it's they were so close to not having heroes versus heroes, and instead fighting a bad guy. But yeah, so a lot of this issue is the Avengers fighting the Superior Avengers, and that's really cool to see. So just want to let you know that the next issue of this is out. So we have our A cover, and then we have the Kyle Hotz variant.
I think, is that going to be 5 issues?
I think 5, yeah.
Well, next up, I did briefly want to mention Void Rivals number 20. Not a whole lot to say about this one. We do get a lot of progress on just individual characters' stories. Not just our main ones, but some of the ones I didn't even know we would return to. Maybe they were left on a backwater planet full of trash. But this was also cool because I believe this is Connor Hughes' first full issue doing the art. Yeah. And his art is phenomenal. It's very clean. It's very crisp. You can really tell what's going on. Great action, that kind of stuff. So just wanted to shout out Void Rivals number 20, and just get ready for 25 when we get there because it's going to be big. So there is your A cover. We also have this Skutzoid cover by Connor Hughes, and that's another character that gets quite a bit of play in this one. We have this Martin variant. This is a 1 in 10. We're selling for $5.99. And we have this 1 in 25 Mark Torres variant. We're selling for $14.99 with Hot Rod.
Is that a horizontal? Is that supposed to be horizontal?
I thought they were falling.
Oh, I can't quite see. Okay, yeah. And we've said it before, we'll say it again. The things that are coming for the Energon universe are crazy awesome. So can't wait for all that to...
You are not prepared.
Yeah, can't wait for all that to get announced and then happen because it's going to be really, really cool. Let's see. All right, we've got my last one is Hulk number 26. Number 25 was awesome. This big fight with Hulk and Thor. And then at the end of that issue, Bucky shows up looking for the Hulk. So I definitely wanted to read this because I wanted to see if this had anything to do with New Avengers, the new Avengers book that's out. This takes place before the New Avengers number 1. And Bucky does track down Hulk and Charlie in the woods. And he tells Hulk that there have been 4 gamma mutates, including Doc Samson and Hulk's son Scar, that they have gone missing. And he needs Banner, not the Hulk, he needs Banner's help to find them. And I don't really know if that has anything to do with what's going on or what's going to be going on in the New Avengers book. I'm not real sure. But the Hulk tells him that Banner is gone. So Bucky pieces out. He's like, all right, you can't help me then. But not before telling Charlie to be careful, because Bucky says the Hulk without Banner is just a big monster and that she needs to watch herself. So Charlie wants to see if there is any of Banner left in the Hulk. So she enters the Hulkscape, which I don't really know a lot about because I just only recently hopped back on this. But she doesn't like what she sees there. And that's going to leads into probably what happens in the next issue. So
it's
yeah.
Netscape.
Right.
Yeah.
And the Hulkscape Navigator, the browser. Yeah. It's all green. Yeah, so the next issue is out. So if you want to see Hulk and Bucky together before they show up together in the next issue of New Avengers, you can do that here. This is our really crazy A cover. And we have this awesome Sanford Green Bring on the Bad Guys variant with Hulk fighting Galactus, which would be a cool story, but does not happen in this.
Hulk can pull a lot of ways. He's in Imperial. He's in New Avengers and in his own book. Mm-hmm. And they all seem kind of like a very different setting for him. Lastly, for me, just want to briefly mention X-Men Demons and Death number 1. This is a collection of some of the digital first from the Marvel Unlimited app stories by Alex Packnadel and Philip Sevi. And this is actually 2 stories. The first one, they're both set after Krakoa. But this one is about where has Alex Summers been. And man, his story was weird during that because he was dead and he was brought back by Madeline Pryor. Then he was like a zombie guy. But he's been missing and we learn where he's been. And he's kind of slowly decaying and dying. And but he finds out there might be a place where he can get fully recovered if he can only get there. Plus, we have a story about Omega Red after Krakoa, and can he remain a changed man from, everyone peace and harmony on Krakoa. So those 2 stories in this one, I think this is just going to be a one-shot because those are both kind of standalone issues, unless they further collect some of the other ones, but I think they would be called something different. So if you read those stories already, nothing new here, but if you haven't and you want to check it out, you can get them right here in this, and that is the only cover. You got anything else?
I'm out.
I am fresh out as well. So there's a lot of books coming out this week. Some really great ones. Can't highly recommend enough. Some of these, like Absolute Martian Manhunter, VR Troopers.
History of the DC Universe, Ultimate Spider-Man.
Ultimate Spider-Man. Yeah. So many good things coming out this week. So head on over to infinityflux.net right now, where you can go ahead and order these while supplies last, and you don't have to worry about them selling out on Wednesday when they are released. Got a lot of really cool stuff coming up on the channel. So we've got our video coming up on Wednesday. We'll be talking about some of the books that you can pre-order by this weekend, plus our Comics from the Future video on Friday. So if you like all of that, you like cool comic talk and comic news.
I think our next Infinity Flux Letters page is on Wednesday as well.
Is on Wednesday.
Yep.
So a lot of really cool stuff coming out. So make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of it. And let us know in the comments which of these books are you most excited about. I've seen a lot of chatter about news from the Fallout.
Yeah.
A lot about Ultimate Spider-Man, of course. Definitely check out Spider-Man and Wolverine because it is just a blast. So yeah, great books this week. Let us know which one you are most looking forward to in the comments. And until next time, see ya.